Hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. She's touching the mouse already.
I
How are we ever going to get started
there
with this?
there
She's,
was a mouse in the
how
middle
can
of my
I?
face.
I can't work with this. Like, hello and welcome to Homeschool Together. Thanks for joining us today. We're doing a little short bite today. If you're listening to this podcast and something sounds a little weird because we're actually doing a video, down in the show notes, we'll have all the links to the YouTube channel. Come on over and check it out. We had an interview that didn't work out and ran over. And so here we are in front of our webcam recording our podcast. We might as well do something. So today we're going to do a podcast. What are we going to talk about, Ariel? Gravity maze. Gravity maze. This is actually a way more fun doing it in front of a camera.
Yeah, we just keep laughing at each other. Okay, we're going to talk about Gravity Maze
Ooh,
by
think
ThinkFun.
fun. Yes.
So this is a terrific game. It says 8 to adult, but our 5-year-old is digging it. So
She's really digging it.
I think it depends on the level of your puzzler. And it's a single player game, so pretty cool. We'll show you some of the features of this game. So it's a logic game, and there are 60 levels, and I'd say,
Want to get the board out? Here we go.
yeah,
Let's
we
get
get the
this.
board.
Just a lot of show and tell to the listeners here. So basically, you get a nice little cube, a little 4x4 shape, and then what you're
Mhm.
doing is you're kind of doing a little Star Trek 3D chess type of thing going on, and these little blocks they click together and they pop in.
So you put them in.
Are we gonna try and problem solve in front of the people here?
No, we're not going to problem solve in front of you.
All
But
right.
anyway, you're basically going to put a marble into the top and watch it go down through the levels and eventually end up in the red goal.
And
So,
but how does it start? Like, where did they begin?
so hold that for
Ooh,
me.
I'm the
So,
Van.
there you
I'm
go.
the Vanna White of the game.
Yeah, he is. He
Welcome to
is.
Gravity Maze.
So it's kind of cool. There's these really neat cards, and on the cards, they give an indication about where the starting points are for specific towers. And those towers, they actually have little dots on the sides of them, so you can see the orientation of the tower. And then at the very bottom of that, it gives you a series of the different um, towers that you're allowed to use to solve it. So it says, here's the starting configuration, and then here's the things you're allowed to do to get to the end. So it's all about placement of towers and orientation of those,
And then
so that
maybe
you can make the marble go from the top
yeah.
into the goal.
For those watching on the YouTube channel, each level has a different slide. So maybe this one goes straight out, this one goes straight down, this one will go off to the side, this one scoop over to the side here, and this one catches on the bottom. So you have to kind of turn and orient it based on how you want the marble to flow through the little maze in essence that you're making here.
Right. In the early levels, those are only vertically oriented, but then in later levels, you actually need to place some of them horizontally. And it tells you when you're supposed to place them vertically versus horizontally. Matt's trying to break it. So,
So they snap in horizontally, and then you can go vertically here.
yeah, and you can actually click towers onto each other. So it's really neat. I like that it isn't so open-ended that you get a starting position and you don't know what pieces you need to complete it. I do like that it tells you which pieces you need.
Mhm.
It has 4 different levels. There's a beginner, or maybe it's 3: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. So we started with the beginner levels. My 5.5-year-old was digging the beginner levels by herself. She was able to finish about half of them without any help, and then I started helping her a little bit. But I love it because we were talking about scientific method. We were talking about having a hypothesis. This is a great game for that because you're looking at what you start with and you know what you have to work with to complete it.
Mhm.
And so each time she's making a hypothesis about what's going to happen. And
I mean, it's
as we
just a
go
pure, yeah,
through,
it's just a pure STEM game. I mean,
right, as we go through, she takes the little marble and, like, so we know the starting one. She'll take the next block in series, and she'll run the marble. Ah, okay, that's what happened. Then she'll turn it. Ah,
yeah,
she's constantly making a guess, and then she's checking it over
yeah.
and over.
These are software skills. These are engineering skills. Build something, test it. Oh, it failed, or it worked the way I wanted. Now I'm going to build onto that. These are core skills that I've seen developers use. I've seen engineers use hardware, software, whatever it might be. These are the skills that you know
Right.
old people like me use to solve things, and also how to figure out what's wrong. One of the things we're always trying to do is problem solving. So whenever we get something back, whether it's engineering, like, hey, I got a new board, I got a new kit, but I'm not being able to connect these headers, what's going on? Or when I apply power, the whole board's shorting out. Oh, I have a, power is jumper to ground somewhere.
Mhm.
Maybe we had a bad soldering connection, things of that nature. Those are the type of deductive skills that engineers and scientists use all the time, because most of the time we're making something and it's failing all the time. And what we're trying to do is, chisel out the solution and get to the final part. And then these
Right.
are the skills we do this with. So
One of the things that I like about this one, there are many single player logic
mhm.
type games. One of them that I've always enjoyed is Rush Hour, and we'll probably talk about that at some point on
Yeah.
the show. Um, but any games where that in that game specifically, you have to move pieces to get your car out of the parking lot configuration. One of the things in any of these single player games, when you have to move things in a certain order,
Mhm.
it's hard to see where the breakdown happened. So for younger learners, or even for me, I hate when it's like, okay, in order to solve this puzzle, it's a series of 20 moves, and you have
Mhm.
to make those moves in the right order. If you don't, you're going to get stuck and you're not going to get to the solution, because it's really difficult to see where you went wrong.
Mhm.
Whereas in this, you're starting in a configuration and you can constantly test with the starting configuration and the number of towers they tell you you're allowed to use to fix it, or to get to the solution. There's only so many ways you could, I mean, you could theoretically, you could test them all
Yeah.
and keep just trying until you find the way that works. And all that trying is learning. And
Mhm.
so our daughter realized, she was doing one last night with me, and she had it all worked out, and the very last piece she couldn't figure out exactly how it was supposed to go, and she realized that there were only four possibilities, and
Mhm.
so she turned it and tested. Nope. Okay. Turned it, tested. No, no. Okay. And then finally she saw it and she was like, I got it. And she ran it from the beginning and it worked, and she was super proud of herself.
Yeah.
So I love that even younger learners can enjoy it. I mean, this is definitely something that needs parent involvement.
Mhm.
I think that 8 and up, I think a 7-year-old, could probably do all of these without too much trouble if they're really
Yeah.
into puzzles. For my younger
But
learner, I
but
had
it's
to
not
help
just
her.
it's not just the gameplay like with the cards, but also there's open play. Like you can
Right.
just play with
And
it.
she was doing that. She said, okay, because it's almost like a marble run. So she goes, okay,
Yeah.
mom, I'm not going to do a puzzle. I just want to make my own marble run. And I'm like, okay, go for it.
Yeah, you know.
And what's really cool, so these towers in the early levels, you're basically just going from the top square of every tower, kind of
Mhm.
cascading down to get to the answer. But as you go into more advanced levels, you're going on the top level into another one, back through the same tower, back through it again. Right.
Yep.
It gets pretty complex. I I definitely enjoyed the puzzle, and our child really did too.
Well, so head on out there. We'll have the link in the show notes for this beautiful game. You want to show it to them again?
Gravity
Ooh, Gravity Maze. So
Maze.
remember, if you're listening to this on the podcast, and this sounds very weird, we are doing a video. So head on over to the YouTube channel, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're going to be
Yeah,
doing more videos and stuff.
I think this is terrific for anybody who wants to focus on STEM stuff.
Yeah.
Lots of trial and error, and making a guess as to what's going to work and then testing it. This is like classic STEM, and this is going to be a keeper that we're going to use for both of our children
Absolutely.
for years to come. So I'm
Do,
super
do you
happy
know
we
if they
got
have
this.
expansions of this?
I don't think that they do, but
Okay.
there are other
But
ones.
there's other games like Marble Run and things like that.
Well, there's Laser Maze,
Laser
which
Maze,
we
yes.
also
We
have,
also have.
but we
Yes.
haven't opened it yet. So we probably will do a review on that at some other time.
Basically,
But
the same idea. You're just
it's
bouncing a laser beam around
there's
with mirrors and whatnot.
yeah, I think that there's
Is
mirrors,
it?
and
Do they have splitters and prisms and things like that?
I don't know, Mr.
Ooh,
Scientist.
ooh,
I haven't opened
ooh.
it yet.
Maybe. Where is it? Some of the bonus room one.
Yeah,
I need to start playing with that thing.
uh,
Where's Daddy? He's up in the bonus room playing with
I
laser
know. I
maze.
kind of, her daughter was like, "Mommy, let me come up with a solution," and then I'm like thinking in my brain, "Oh, how would I do it?" Okay,
Ooh.
because these are really fun. I think there's a place. Obviously, games are very
Mhm.
social. They teach a lot of great lessons about
Mhm.
cooperation, about good competition, all that stuff. But it's really nice to have single player games sometimes,
Yep.
because they can occupy your kiddo when you're busy with something else. Sometimes it's nice for them to just puzzle something out on their own
Yeah. I mean, you can
without
imagine.
having to compete.
Yeah, you can imagine having like a 6, 7-year-old and they're sitting at the kitchen table and they're just playing with this. And what's nice is it's self-contained. Like they designed it so that there's these like flanges here on the edge, so that like when the ball hits, it doesn't like roll off under the table
Right,
or
and there
anything.
are 3 little marbles in case you lose one.
Yes.
But I think this would
Yeah.
be
So be
really
aware
good.
there are some choking hazards with the little
Yeah,
marbles.
this is not for younger kids.
Yeah.
This would be really good in like a morning basket that they
Ooh.
could, you know, you could always keep one logic game as kind of your morning
Get that
basket
brain,
thing.
get that brain heated up in the morning.
Yeah, well, and I like that all the cards are labeled with the level of difficulty and with a number. So you could say, okay, well, I've completed card 1 through 10. Maybe each morning they try to complete one card or
That's a
two
great idea.
cards. Yeah, I think it's a great way to get your brain juices working, and I love the fact that it's something that they can do on their own. Our puzzle loving daughter it really loves it. And she's asked to play it the last 3 nights in a row.
Yep. So, and
So Gravity Maze.
Gravity Maze.
We
Check it
highly
out.
recommend it. Check it out in the show notes.